But now I'm having the surgery, the selective surgery is supposed to give me a little bit of discomfort. Only now, on November 18th of 2006, I wake up out of the surgery with a different body. My body changed forever. Something happened during a surgery that changed my nervous system. And everything from my neck all the way down to the bottom of my feet was in pain. But not pain like you have a headache. Pain like if you take a knife and you just start cutting somebody open over and over and over and over and over again. A little bit like that. Oh, and there was also electric shocks too. We don't know why. After several hours and the most amount of morphine legally allowed to give a human being, eventually I calmed down. Eventually I stopped asking my wife and my mother to kill me. They released me, they sent me home. We picked up shawarma on the way home. I hope it was kosher. I got home, I thought, oh, so that's what Gehenom looks like. Fine. I'm going to sleep. It's wonderful. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. I'm going to sleep. I go to sleep and I wake up 45 minutes later. Only problem is that this time it's worse than the first time. And this time it does not stop. The screaming does not stop. Not after an hour. Not after a day. Not after a week. Not after 2 weeks. Not after 5 weeks. Only after 62 days. For 62 days, the screaming did not stop. For more than 15 minutes, I couldn't sleep. My body started dying. I started bleeding from my eyes and every hole in my body. I got infections everywhere, and no one could explain it. No one could explain the diagnosis. No one knew why I was screaming. And even later on, when I tried to file an insurance claim because I had a disability policy, they rejected me after 6 months of research saying it's impossible for that to happen. And if you want the money, you have to sue us. I never sued them. Don't waste your time suing insurance companies. So after 2 months, 62 days of wonderful experience of Gehenom, I eventually start getting back to my life. I'm only taking 20 painkillers a day instead of 50 or 60. Start managing, able to walk to some extent from here to the door, which would take somebody normal about 30 seconds, would take me about 30 to 40 minutes. But I'm managing. I go back to work. Life is not the same. But I figured that I got a second chance. I still don't do tshuva. 9 months pass, because that's the amount of time that Hashem gave me to do tshuva. I don't answer. He gives me a pain in my leg. I think I pulled a muscle. The next day I'm in an emergency room, an intensive care unit, doing a surgery that if I didn't come at that time and I would have waited even another hour to two, the infection that's inside my body would have blown up, got into my blood system, and would have died within hours. So I spent the next 2 weeks in intensive care units next to the people that are nearly dying. Some are actually dying. Their screams sound familiar to mine. After a few weeks, I'm released from the hospital. Lots of fun. Go back to the painkillers. I still don't do tshuva. 3 months later, as you've noticed, the time keeps getting shorter. This is one of the signs from Hashem when He's running out of patience for you. The signs and the siyata dishmaya slowly disappears. If you do tshuva when you're in your teens or early 20s, you have 90 to 100% siyata dishmaya. To do tshuva is easy. The beginning is hard. To commit to Hashem is hard in the beginning. To test in the beginning. When you do tshuva, you have miracles on a daily basis. Mamash miracles. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not a prophet. I'm not anything. You do tshuva in your early 20s, you have siyata dishmaya that's unbelievable. You don't do tshuva, you get to your 30s, siyata dishmaya gets lower. You're now down to about 70%, maybe 60%. becomes a little more difficult to do tshuva, because without Hashem, it's nearly impossible to do tshuva. So with less Hashem, of course, it's more difficult to do tshuva in your 30s. But then you have still have 60, 70%, it's still amazing. But you skip, you go into your 40s and 50s. Now you're down to maybe 40, 50% siyata d'ishmaya. Very difficult to do tshuva. You figure, I still got my fun times today. 40s like the 30s. I still got more time to party. You get into your 50s and 60s, then it's almost impossible. You're maybe 20%, 25% siyata d'ishmaya. You wait into your 70s, it's almost impossible for you to do tshuva. Almost impossible. And even if you do tshuva, only a miracle will get you to get to a point to do a complete tshuva. Because doing tshuva takes time. You need to learn what to do. You can't do tshuva one day like people think. No, I'll do tshuva a day before I die. Isn't there Gemara about that? No, it just means you should say sorry. It doesn't mean that you're actually going to get the Gan Eden because you said I'm sorry. It means maybe Hashem is going to give you less of a punishment. A few less million years in Gehenom. It doesn't actually mean you're going to Gan Eden because you said I'm sorry. Okay, maybe He'll give you a Gilgul, you get back to this world. But since we just talked about that we're at the end of times, who knows if there's going to be enough time for you to get back to this world. Don't rely on Gilgulim. Reincarnation is not exactly reliable anymore in our generation. Mashiach comes in 5 years. Mashiach comes in 5 weeks. Mashiach comes in 5 days. Somebody dies without doing tshuva. Even if he's born on that day, what's going to happen? He hasn't done tshuva, he's nothing. It takes time to do tshuva. Anyone who's done tshuva knows.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.